Meghan would have had no motivation to come back, but she needs to come back with Harry because she can't be separated from Harry because she's not making money on her own.
William can't stand Harry, nor can Catherine. They despise Meghan and Harry. Camilla hates them both.
It's just amazing how Harry and Meghan cannot resist the temptation to lob bombs.
Meghan, in her shady ways, cost herself any potential to be on that show, The Gentleman.
Harry has fallen in love with someone.
But when the money starts to run out and the pressures start to build, things are more difficult.
Lady C just confirmed what millions already suspected. Harry did not move to Britain for family. He moved to escape. On August 11th and 12th, American immigration officials reviewed his private visa paperwork. 10 days later, he was gone.
And why they were coming back was because ICE is looking at Harry, and that there were meetings on the 11th and 12th of August where they were inspecting Harry's visa application papers and comparing them with his other statements on his drug taking.
And the divorce plan Meghan never saw coming is already executing right now. Here is what the mainstream media refuses to say out loud. This is not a homecoming. This is not about reconciliation, family healing, or the children getting to know their grandfather before it is too late. This is a man executing the most carefully constructed legal exit from a marriage the royal family has witnessed in a generation. And every single decision Harry has made since arriving in Britain points directly toward one destination.
You can understand why Charles would want to reconcile. He's also had his own health issues. But the reality is that them coming back here to the UK is going to cause a whirlwind of trouble. It's also coming at the time when Prince George is just about to start school. And as I say, William is minded to protect the monarchy, and I think he's probably concerned to protect the monarchy from his brother and also from his brother's wife.
Lady C, the woman who has been right about this couple when every other commentator was still manufacturing excuses for them, has confirmed what many of you already knew long before any journalist was willing to print it.
I think they will have to be on their way back. I think they have no choice but to be on their way back because the feds, they are aware of the fact that the feds might arrest Harry if he overtly remains an American resident.
You saw it before the headlines ever caught up. You felt something was fundamentally wrong every time they appeared together in public. You noticed when the smiles stopped reaching the eyes, when they started arriving separately and leaving separately, when the photographs told a completely different story from the captions printed underneath them. You were right.
As long as Harry was miserable and Meghan had the whip hand, she would go, and he would have to keep in his space. He doesn't have to keep in his space anymore because the dynamics have changed.
And everything that has happened in the last 2 weeks has confirmed it beyond any reasonable doubt. What those immigration meetings in August actually triggered. What was discovered on Harry's phone inside that Montecito house. Why Meghan has absolutely no legal counter move left available to her. And why the justice quietly closing and looks nothing like anyone expected it would look. Every piece of this connects, and by the end of this video, you will see exactly how.
Meghan is extremely manipulative, very devious. She thinks she's always 2 steps ahead of everybody, but she's so clever that she outmaneuvers herself at every turn. But she thrills to the game of, I've outfoxed them. Well, she's certainly foxy.
6 years ago, Harry called California freedom. Lady C called it something very different from the beginning. Not freedom. A trap, just not the one anyone was paying attention to.
Social media and the rules changed. The entire game changed. Because of this, I don't think he will be successful. Harry is a traitor to his country. Meghan is a sociopath. We see through all of it. But he will try, I suppose. Well, suppose. All you want, my dear Oreo cookie.
While the world focused on Netflix deals and jam jars with gold labels, something far quieter was happening in Montecito. Harry was watching his marriage collapse and his options disappear. And according to journalist Tom Sykes, who spoke directly to people inside Harry's inner circle, Harry made a decision he shared with almost nobody. He was coming home with or without Meghan. With or without security, he already had the location decided. The Cotswolds, the English countryside he knew since he was a teenager. The back roads he still knows from memory. The life he wanted back.
Tom Sykes revealed earlier, where he said a friend of Harry's told me in the spring of 2026, if he doesn't get the security, he will just go house hunting anyway. Yes, 6 years after leaving the United Kingdom, after selling his voluntary department to the Netflix cameras as a liberation, after denouncing his family as racist, after arguing in court and in his memoir and in interviews that he and his wife could not safely live in Britain without police protection, Harry's pal was now saying that he was utterly determined to start spending lengthy periods of time back home.
What makes this genuinely extraordinary is how Tom Sykes' source described the living arrangement. Harry in England, Meghan in California, months apart. And the source describing this did not speak with sadness or alarm. They shrugged as if two married people living in entirely separate countries was simply a scheduling inconvenience rather than a marriage ending in slow motion.
The word that you hear from people around them is that they're still very into each other, that they're very touchy-feely, etc., when they're with each other. But as anybody knows, relationships are complicated beasts, especially when you have children, and a whole number of things feed into that. And one of the principal factors often a principal factor in a difficulty relationship is money, right? I mean, it's a very well-known fact that, hey, when you're making $100 million a year, it's pretty easy to put up with, what was the Hunchback of Notre Dame called? You could put up with anyone as your spouse.
Then the Wall Street Journal raised the word divorce. Vanity Fair followed within days. Two of the most credible publications in the world landing on the same word simultaneously is never coincidence. That is a signal from people already thinking past this marriage.
Ladies, see, it is interesting, isn't it? Because, of course, there is nuance about how a marriage works. But what we have seen and what you have reported on and what I have reported on and what the mainstream media have been too afraid to report on now, and we're talking about 2 years, Lady C, is a complete change in the dynamic between this couple. You know, Salt and Pepper always used to be together, ended up actually not really wanting anything to do with each other as misery took over the house in Montecito.
But here's what nobody has explained properly. Harry chose the UK for a very specific legal reason that has nothing to do with sentiment. In California, everything they built together gets divided equally by law. Every single dollar. Meghan walks away with half of everything, regardless of who earned it. UK law works completely differently. The moment Harry establishes British residency, the moment those children are enrolled in British schools, British courts take automatic jurisdiction. The financial outcome for Meghan changes entirely, and she cannot reverse it once the process begins.
If he's in love with somebody else and they're leaving because he wants to get the children back in the UK before things split up so that he doesn't have to deal with an across the pond relationship, they're there. He'll be in better legal standing to say, you have to stay here. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, because Maureen, they're keeping the Montecito mansion
for now.
And so that has some people thinking she's either not really going to go with him. Like, this could actually be the split where, for all intents and purposes, like, she's actually going to stay here, even though we're pretending she's leaving.
This is not a husband coming home. This is a legal strategy being executed with considerable precision. If this were purely strategic, Harry could have moved gradually, carefully over several quiet months. Instead, the announcement came in under 2 weeks, and what followed looked far less like an organized family relocation and considerably more like people leaving a country in a genuine hurry.
When Netflix decided that they'd had enough of the jam-making diva, right? Even though, as I told you first here on our show, the bottom line is Meghan Markle once again broke protocol because they didn't want, being the cheeses of Netflix, of Meghan Markle announcing to the world that she'd now gone into business with Netflix, because this was very much the under-the-water thing. It was a test drive. They'd never done anything like this, and this is why you had Ted Sarandos, if you remember, speaking about that. Remember, chums? And he was saying, well, it's a new avenue for us, we're not sure, and all that sort of stuff. That's the reason why it is.
So, what actually happened on those specific August dates? American immigration officials sat down with Harry's visa paperwork and did something methodical. They compared what Harry declared on his official application against what Harry published in his own memoir for the entire world to read freely.
Heritage Foundation, you pursued the issue of Prince Harry's visa. The story being, of course, there are two, we needed, or you contended, that the people needed to be able to see Prince Harry's visa application. In America, it's the land of transparency, and frankly, they should have made that available to peruse.
Every American visa application carries one question with serious legal weight. Have you ever used illegal drugs? Harry did not just use drugs occasionally. He wrote about it enthusiastically and in extraordinary detail in a book that sold millions of copies worldwide, Cocaine, Cannabis, Magic Mushrooms. Described with personal pride across multiple chapters, all of which on a government form under full legal obligation, he apparently answered as no.
To date, it has proven to be an uphill struggle because under normal circumstances, visa applications and matters of that kind immigrationally are confidential. So the two things are somewhat synchronistic and not necessarily synchronistic.
Niall Gardner of the Heritage Foundation has spent 3 years fighting to make that visa application public. American authorities are now extremely close to releasing it. If Harry lied on that form, and the gap between his declared answers and his published memoir is not a small inconsistency, that is a federal felony in America. 5 years in prison, not a fine.
And so, did Harry lie? Was he given preferential treatment in order to enter into the United States? These are important questions. No one should be above the law, and that includes members of the royal family. And if Prince Harry lied on his application, he would face up to 5 years in US prison and also deportation if he were to be in the United States at the time. And so these are very serious federal criminal offences if he lied on his application. So all we're asking here is for the right of the American people to see exactly what Prince Harry put down on his immigration application. It's as simple as that.
And then there is the factor every American viewer already understands without explanation. For years, Harry operated under an administration with its own reasons for keeping this quiet. Archwell donated $250,000 to a foundation connected directly to the Biden family. The visa problem stayed contained. That protection ended on Inauguration Day. Trump said publicly that William is the son any father would be proud of. Harry, who spent years trying to shape American politics, now finds himself in a country led by the one man with every motivation to let this investigation reach its full conclusion.
The Trump administration has been far more cooperative. We believe that ultimately we will prevail on this issue. And the stakes are very high for Prince Harry. So if it is revealed that he lied on his application, then he would not be allowed back into the United States. And so there are very significant consequences. Even if Harry remains outside of the US, there are big future implications for him. Basically, he would never be able to set foot back in the US, actually.
Nobody leaves this fast unless someone is already coming. But the visa crisis, as serious as it genuinely is, may not even be the deepest reason this marriage is already over in everything except its public name. Lady C reported something that shifted the entire picture of what has been happening inside that Montecito house. Meghan found text messages on Harry's phone. Messages suggesting a closeness to another woman that went well beyond what any marriage could absorb. What happened inside that house after that discovery? Lady C described in 2 words. Misery took over. The couple the world once called salt and pepper, always inseparable, always touching for cameras, stopped wanting to be in the same room together.
Harry has met someone who is his age, with whom he is in love, and who is in love with him. And Meghan found out about it, according to my sources of information, after she discovered texts on Harry's phone. How many tears left I? How many?
Harry had reportedly been deeply unhappy for a very long time. And Tom Sykes' source describing Harry in England and Meghan in California for months at a time shrugged with complete indifference, as if this were simply two professionals managing complicated schedules rather than a marriage quietly dissolving.
As for Meghan, it was all about business. If, as ever, her lifestyle brand develops sufficient commercial traction in the United Kingdom, that might make it practical for her to divide time between locations. If it didn't, the friend acknowledged there was little practical reason for Meghan to be based anywhere other than the United States. I asked again, so Harry would be in the Cotswolds while Meghan was in California for weeks, if not months on end.
Then Lady C said something that stopped people completely. She said Harry married his mother, not Diana, the celebrated icon. Diana, the woman who lived trapped inside a marriage that had broken down entirely while the world applauded at public ceremonies and quietly wondered why she always looked the way she did in unguarded moments. If you watch Diana through those years, if you remember what it looked like when a very public marriage was privately finished and nobody inside the palace would acknowledge it, this feels like something you have already seen because it is.
I really don't see Meghan actually taking her claws out of Harry unless she finds something bigger and better. And I'm not sure that she has the attributes to find something either bigger or better. Or quite frankly, I don't know. I don't think even my gardener would want to be tainted with an association with her. So, I mean, I don't think it's even a billionaire status that we're speaking about. Most men wouldn't want to have anything to do with Meghan.
Institution, same deliberate silence from the people who should speak first. The man who grew up watching his mother carry that quiet personal devastation is now living his own version in the country he said was too dangerous with the family he called racist on international television. Some of you recognized this pattern months before any journalist published it. You noticed what the photographs were carefully constructed to hide. Lady C has now confirmed what you already understood.
He has repeatedly lambasted his mother for saying when his mother was really being torn away from him and Diana after she took them back that Christmas to Sandringham, and Johnny Althorp, as he then was, refused to allow her to take back the children to London.
So, if the marriage is privately already over, why did Meghan agree to this move at all? One word, money. Or more precisely, the complete and total absence of it. The Montecito house costs $1.5 million every year simply to keep running before a single bodyguard, before any school fees. Property taxes alone arrive at $12,670 every single month. Add insurance, landscaping, pool maintenance, housekeeping staff, repairs, and utilities, and you reach a running total that has become impossible to sustain without serious consistent income.
Nancy Sidley on this, keeping Harry and Meghan's Montecito mansion is very expensive, even before you factor in security. Property taxes, $152,000 a year. Insurance, $50,000 to $150,000. Landscaping the grounds, up to $150,000. Pool and spa, $20,000. Housekeeping and property staff, up to $200,000. Repairs and maintenance, $250,000. Utilities, $40,000 to $80,000. The estimated mortgage, $516,000 a year. That puts the potential cost of maintaining the Montecito estate at roughly $1 to $1.5 million a year, including the estimated mortgage, and that doesn't include their security costs.
Lady C did not soften this reality. Mortgage to their foreheads. The Netflix deal is finished. Spotify collapsed the moment the show featured Meghan alone, without Harry's royal name providing the audience. No significant new deal has appeared, and Lady C was entirely direct about why she cannot generate meaningful income without Harry and without the royal association he carries. The royal connection is the entire product they have been selling. Without proximity to the institution, there is genuinely nothing left to offer anyone. She cannot leave because she walks away with nothing. She cannot stay because the money has already completely gone. The trap has closed from both sides simultaneously.
They don't have any amount of money coming in. Let's remember, all the money that came in was basically as a result of Harry. Meghan may have cut the deals, but Harry's existence is the one that made the deals possible. So the Netflix deal was originally, and it was never, as you and I both know, $100 million. But the fact of the matter is, it was a nice, tidy sum. And so then you had Spotify. Everything, and Spotify was supposed to have been Harry and Meghan, and it failed miserably when it was just Meghan. Everything with Netflix has failed except for their 6-part We Were So Miserable, and we were the victims of a serious racist family and a terrible British racist people, all of whom now they're rushing back to.
And then there is the moment that stays with you long after everything else. The woman who stood in front of our queen, who was given a title, a palace, armed protection, and a global platform built entirely on 70 years of that woman's devoted and selfless service, who took every one of those extraordinary gifts and spent 6 years tearing the institution apart, interview by interview, memoir page by memoir page. That woman is now broke. That woman is now running. That woman is returning with nothing left to the country and the family she publicly humiliated in front of the entire world. The Queen served 70 years without one public complaint, without a single word about what any of this personally cost her. Maybe she's having the last word after all.
I think that had there not been a financial problem, there would have been less of an Meghan would have had no motivation to come back, but she needs to come back with Harry because she can't be separated from Harry because she's not making money on her own.
Totally. And as we've always said, there's no other billionaire lining up. You know, she is damaged goods in a whole load of ways.
Before the security revelation, and what Harry actually wants from that security arrangement reframes this entire story completely. Something happened in the past 2 weeks that captures this couple more precisely than almost anything else. Meghan announced a casting that did not exist, The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie's Netflix series. She was reportedly in preliminary conversations about a potential role in a possible 3rd season of a show Netflix had not yet commissioned. Read that carefully. A role in a season of a show that does not exist. And somehow this story was immediately everywhere across every platform. Within 24 hours, the British public reaction was so overwhelming that Tina Brown confirmed the proposed casting was already gone.
The story was everywhere, okay? You know, Meghan Markle in talks for The Gentleman. That was everywhere. There was Meghan's comeback, Meghan returning to television in Great Britain, Meghan's new UK role. And before the ink was even anywhere near the paper, the British public reacted. Now, this is the other thing that they're saying, and apparently they didn't react well. Okay? And now the potential role is reportedly, poof, gone. Because according to journalist and author Tina Brown, Meghan's proposed casting has now been withdrawn, or was the job proposed?
Guy Ritchie, who attended William and Catherine's wedding personally and has stood alongside the king at charity events, said absolutely nothing because there was most likely nothing real to respond to. This is not new behavior. It is the Dior pattern, the Bodyguard 2 pattern, a story placed in the press before any deal exists, designed to pressure people into making it real. It never works. And this audience already had the perfect word for what happened. She murlied herself. You cannot have a comeback when you were never really there. But here is where this stops being entertaining and becomes something else entirely. This is the same woman who sat on Oprah Winfrey's sofa and told the watching world the royal family was racist. Who accepted the NAACP President's Award for challenging structural racism inside the British monarchy. Who accepted the RFK Ripple of Hope Award for exactly the same stated reason, and is now rushing back to that racist country, back to that racist family, expecting the taxpayers of the nation she publicly condemned to fund her protection and welcome her with open arms. Every person who said from the beginning those accusations were strategy rather than genuine grievance.
He made a decision to leave this country, to turn his back on it, to criticise us on the world stage, to take decisions that were actively damaging to the monarchy. And most importantly, the two of them have been making money off the back of their royal associations. I mean, it is their entire moneymaker, is the fact that they are in proximity to the royal family. I suspect actually one of the reasons why they might be coming back to the UK.
Look at exactly where she runs when everything else has completely failed. Now, the part that should make every working person watching this genuinely furious. Harry has been writing private letters to the Home Secretary requesting British taxpayers fund his personal security. Labour MPs are reportedly supportive. The figure being discussed is $5 million every single year. Think about what that actually represents. The pension you spent your entire working life earning. The taxes you paid without complaint through every recession and every round of painful cuts. Harry Windsor, who voluntarily walked away from this country, publicly called it racist, and turned his family's most private pain into commercial entertainment, wants that money. Not to serve Britain in any capacity, simply to exist comfortably within it. Princess and survived a genuine kidnap attempt, a real weapon drawn on a London street. She receives considerably less than Harry demands while serving this country every single week faithfully. But here is what Lady C revealed that reframes the entire conversation. This was never about physical safety. There is a legal status called International Protected Person, IP. In plain terms, it means no court anywhere in the world can reach you. Not American federal courts, not British courts, no jurisdiction touches you. And right now, with the visa investigation building in America, with the Santabile case active in court with serious questions surrounding Invictus finances, Harry needs that legal immunity far more urgently than he needs armed guards outside his door. Andy Burnham stated this was a private matter. Lady C translated exactly what that means. You are a private citizen. Public protection does not extend to people who chose to walk away from public duty. Charles still has Harry listed on the official royal website 6 years after everything that has happened. Has not removed the titles, has not drawn the line the Queen would have drawn without any hesitation within 48 hours.
And Harry and Meghan to manipulate Ravik into giving the Harkles IPP status. It had been said that one of the main reasons Harry failed in the past was because they didn't live in the UK. So I believe that they will stage a full security event almost immediately in the hope that it will change Ravik's mind. Possibility, may I say, possibility.
But there is one person inside that palace who has not been fooled for a single day. Camilla lived through Diana. She recognizes every move in this playbook. Dan Wooten was explicit. Camilla despises them both. In a palace where Charles leads with his heart, Camilla leads with open eyes and a very long memory. Those eyes are watching everything extremely carefully right now. The most liked comment across this entire story by a very considerable distance was not about the visa, not about the money, not about the divorce. It was this. Would the media suggest that someone who walked away from an abuser should just go back and shake hands? Nearly 1,500 people agreed with that immediately because every single person watching recognized something in that sentence that has nothing to do with royal titles or palace procedures. If you have ever had to walk away from someone who caused you genuine lasting harm, if you have watched someone you love be slowly controlled by a person who performed warmth for cameras and caused real damage in private, if you've ever been told to forgive someone who never once asked for that forgiveness or showed any genuine remorse, then you do not need anyone to explain William to you. You already understand him completely. Not as a future king. As a human being who drew a firm, clear line and refused to move it, regardless of the pressure coming from every direction. William has said absolutely nothing throughout all of this. No interview, no palace statement responding to the media campaign demanding he reach out first. No comment of any kind, just complete silence. For a man surrounded entirely by people who turned every private wound into a Netflix documentary, an Oprah interview, and a memoir sold worldwide, choosing silence is the most powerful statement available to him. It says everything without using a single word. The divorce plan is already executing. The visa clock is running in America. The money is completely gone. The attempted British career comeback lasted less than 24 hours. And the monarchy they spent 6 years trying to bring down from a house in California is still standing. William knows exactly what is happening. He is known for a very long time, and the overwhelming majority of this country is standing in exactly the same place he is. Some things cannot be unseen, and some lines once drawn simply do not move. 6 years, tens of millions spent. Every interview, every memoir, every platform available to them, and the palace is still standing. Watch the videos on screen right now because this story is far from